Dragana Matei. I'm the General Manager for Microsoft in Romania. I want to thank you very much for having you accepting this invitation, which today is a bit special, yeah, because even if Microsoft does the invitation, we will talk a lot about art, yeah, and we will talk about art because we have a special project today, and we will show how technology can actually change the world of art and automate creativity. So this is a very special project that has been led by Emmanuel Torres. He's here with us. Emmanuel is coming from the creative agency, G.W. Thompson from Amsterdam, and he's the leader of the project. So he has every insights and every information about this project that has been very dear to his heart. In Microsoft, basically the strategy for us, it's all about empowering our customers through our technology to achieve more. This time our technology, the power of the Microsoft Cloud, actually has created, and empowered a group of very innovative people to paint the next Rembrandt.
Well, a new painting in the style of Rembrandt has been unveiled in Amsterdam, painted nearly 4 centuries after the famous Dutch artist's death. It took over 2 years, and it does look remarkably like the real thing.
The next Rembrandt brings back to life one of the greatest masters. Only this time, data is the painter and technology, the brush. Together with experts from various fields, over 160,000 fragments from all of Rembrandt's 346 paintings were analyzed, using 3D scans and digital files, upscaled by a deep learning algorithm. Facial recognition software was designed to understand Rembrandt's style and generate new facial features, which were assembled based on his use of geometric proportions. Finally, using a height map to mimic Rembrandt's brushstrokes, the painting was brought to life through an advanced 3D printer that printed 13 layers of paint-based ink. And so, 347 years after his death, a new Rembrandt painting made from zeros and ones emerged, unveiled and exhibited in Amsterdam. Experts, the press, and the general public were invited to join the conversation about where data and technology can take us. A conversation that went global.
Nieuwe schilderij van Rembrandt.
Impressive just from a data standpoint.
Numérique, il a pris forme à Amsterdam.
Rembrandt makes a return.
A number of organizations took a seemingly impossible task
148 billion
and was
pixels.
precisely like a Rembrandt portrait.
The world was buzzing, with all the leading news channels and blogs reporting about the fading boundaries between technology and humanity. Almost 100 million people joined the conversation about IMG's innovation defying imagination. The next Rembrandt. What's next?
So, the handsome guy is just in the room there. So if you have the time, please pay a visit to him. Just to put this a little bit on context, just to explain where I came from and how I finished in this project, let me start by saying I am not coming from advertising, okay? So I'm closer to your business. Actually, I come from interaction design, which is concerned about users. And I have been a product manager and scrum master, so I have been busy with the day-to-day work. I entered the world of advertising as a kind of challenge to myself in 2014, when I wanted to say, okay, I have explored this part, the product side. Now I want to explore the communication part of it. And I entered J. Walter Thompson. My mission is to digitalize the agency. My mission is to bring marketing closer to technology and users. And the work is basically focalized in doing strategy, but also managing teams of user experience, that is users, digital marketing, communication, and software development, make it happen. So the challenge started like this. My boss, which is a very creative guy, told me we have a campaign for ING. We want to bring the awareness about data to the context of culture. Why? Because that way we can make young audiences sensitive about what data is and what data can bring in terms of creativity, but also the value of it. And he told me, you need to make a new painting of Rembrandt, which I thought was totally insane. I still think it. But I said, okay, let's do it. Why not? For that, I asked him, please, let me use the tools I know in order to make this happen. What are the tools I know? Let me make a small startup inside the agency. And the mission is, no orders from outside. I am the mini CEO of that company. I have my team. We're going to make it happen. So the first part was to actually gather the data. To do that, basically, we're just using all kind of archives. We're working with museums, we're using with universities, we were working with the experts to gather the 346 paintings from Rembrandt. I think now it's 47 because one was found in France. And curate the data in a way that we could use it using machine learning, which was provided partially by Microsoft. After that, we actually need to decide which kind of character we wanted to create. To do that, we use a very similar approach to marketing segmentation. So when you want to sell, I don't know, websites, or you want to sell a product, you segment your market. The same we did with Rembrandt. So we analyzed all the population in the Rembrandt paintings. So we encountered that the most common type of painting in Rembrandt is called a portrait. He likes painting people. He's a people painter. Caucasian, he has some not Caucasian people, specifically 3 people. So the vast majority were Dutch and Jewish, in fact. Male, this was a controversial decision because we found that Rembrandt has 49% women, 51% men. So why did we choose men in the end? Because he was in love with his wife. So he painted Saskia, the wife, many times. And having duplicates of data doesn't help you to create a new painting. So when we normalize that information, the unique features of men and women, men became around 60% of the population. So indeed, I'm not a Mexican chauvinistic guy. I don't choose men because I'm chauvinistic. That was the data was telling us. Facial hair, 30 to 40 years old. Dark clothing, we're talking about a Calvinist society, so they like dressing in black. Color, wearing a hat and facing to the right. From there, we start to generate the features of the painting. We did it by slowly classifying the way Rembrandt was making geometries. And this is where actually Microsoft started supporting our endeavors because we had so much data and we needed so many resources that we started to use their cloud platforms, in fact. Finally, when we constructed the painting in terms of shape, we need to print it. So we analyzed different X-rays of the paintings of Rembrandt. We found how the height was represented in terms of brush strokes, and then we reconstructed doing a printing using a special type of printer developed by Canon, which is like this.
So basically, by figuring out what kind of pixels we have in our own painting, we can see how it is in Rembrandt's own painting and fuse the height map of his painting to fit our own.
It works by layering paint, and that way you print height. I'm expecting that our print also will be very nice.
So finally, after 11 months working intensively on this project, we unveiled the next Rembrandt in Amsterdam in April last year. When I think on perspective about it, when I see what we have done, I think the power of this project is not only the technology, but it's the technology together with the communication and with the teamwork. I'm also very happy that Microsoft was on it, and again, thank you very much for that, because the amount of data we were using was immensely high. And having the correct infrastructure always helps to create these kind of projects and make it alive. Now, I would like to share, just to close very briefly the short introduction about the project, 3 of the values that we encounter using Microsoft for our project, and I think that are meaningful for other people when it comes to the day-to-day businesses. Just mentioning about the repercussion of the project, You can see that is Mr. Nadella there. He presented the painting. And there's a funny story about it. They sent the painting to the States, and it got trapped in the aduana of the United States for 8 or 9 hours because they didn't know how to classify the object. So when they say, what do you have here? Ah, they open it. And what do you say? Well, it's a painting made out of data, right? And they were like, okay, so it's an antiquity. Not really, it's not an antiquity, but it's a painting. So, okay, it's an art piece. Not really, because it's digital, so we can print it again if we want to. Okay, so what it is? And after several discussions with the immigration in the States, they actually decided to put it, actually to mark the frame as the object that was imported into the United States. So, okay, it's an antiquity, it's a frame, and inside has like a kind of sample in. The project has been very big to a certain extent. We are in Netflix right now. There's a show that was made by that. We have been doing interviews with Japan, with the United States. But again, I think the most important thing is not about the fame around the project, is that you can show that data is not something scary, but something powerful, something empowering, in fact. So I think that it's important that we think technology can take you somewhere if you know how to use it. Data is just data. They're just numbers. There are databases somewhere. But it's about the vision that you have around what do you do with the data. If a painting can be so meaningful, imagine which other type of data can do for day-to-day businesses or for further explorations in creativity. The other important part, we understand the population of Rembrandt like if it was a marketing pitch, in fact. And you can engage with people. I mean, these people are just dead many years ago. Still, we were able to trace them, to understand them. In fact, with the data we acquired, we were thinking about making Rembrandt's LinkedIn and Facebook, because data can tell you stories. It's about storytelling, and humans understand value through a storytelling. Just to put an example how data was used in terms of business for us, you can see here, this is our marketing plan in a very simple way, which was we wanted to prepare the audience by a tease phase, then amplify the impact, and finally have a long echo where our stakeholders and ourselves could tell stories all the time. The tease phase, this is a Google Trends, very simple open source data visualizer, is that little spike there. Now, this is interesting. Our amplify was this part. This is when we released in Amsterdam, and this is in Cannes, which is the biggest festival of advertising where we won, I think, 16 Lions. You can notice afterwards that everything keeps coming back and forth. It's stable. This is how you can see a story can keep audiences engaged. Hey, let's face it, it's a campaign. I am 1 year later talking to someone now. She'll be talking about something else already, right? There's something powerful when you engage people and you know how to leverage data to create stories, to engage humans. Data is about humans. Finally, and I would like to conclude here, I think we need to think about what data is. We have too many movies in our heads and we think everything is the Matrix, and it's okay to have some science fiction in our heads, but day to day, we are going to be more and more swimming in data. We need to understand how it works, and we need to know how to leverage value out of that. It can be a painting, can be selling on an e-commerce site, can be using for retail. But we need to understand it and learn how to live with data because it's here to stay. Thank you very much.